him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-macabre! It is time for the only news that matters. And in 1973, a young girl named Julia Holcomb met a very famous rock star called Steven Tyler. Little did they know that nearly 50 years later, this relationship would be a result in a lawsuit. Because when they met, she was only 16 and he was in his late 20s. At that stage, Holcomb had been through a lot in her short life. Her biological father had abandoned her mother when Holcomb was a toddler, and the new stepfather entered the picture and had issues of his own with alcohol and mental health. And when Holcomb was 13, her youngest brother died in a car accident at just 10 years old. Man, that's tragic. Along with her grandfather, Jesus. It led to her mother having an emotional breakdown. There was instability and trauma that ran through her family life, leading her to find comfort and stability in other places. And one of those was with Aerosmith's Steven Tyler. Shortly after her 16th birthday, Tyler and Holcomb met at a concert in Portland, Oregon, and somehow they were captivated by one another. And at the time, I thought he was the best thing in my life, she said. My sad, vulnerable story, as well as my youth and personal attractiveness, captured his interest. And soon after the meeting, the mother, who was still struggling mentally at the time, decided to sign over guardianship of Holcomb to Steven Tyler. She said he had mentioned that he wanted guardianship papers so I could travel across state lines when he was on tour. I told him my mother would not sign me over to him. I asked him how he was going to do it, and he said, I told her I needed them for you to enroll in school. I felt abandoned by my mother. Steven really was my only hope at that point. But Tyler had no consideration for the rules and expectations behind the guardianship and allegedly continued to have sex. According to Holcomb, it had a profound impact on her well-being. She said, I became lost in the rock and roll culture. In Steven's world, it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but it seemed less chaotic than the world I left behind. I didn't know it yet, but I would barely make it out alive. In a twist, neither Holcomb or Tyler were planning Holcomb getting pregnant. After a scary house fire while 5 months pregnant, Holcomb was cleared by doctors that smoke inhalation had not impacted their unborn child. It was at that point that Holcomb alleged she was pressured by Tyler to have an abortion. She said, he spent over an hour pressing me to have the abortion. He said that I was too young to have a baby. I began to feel like life was caving in on me. I had no health insurance or money and did not believe Steven's intentions to help me, provide for our baby or me. I began to cry and agreed to have the abortion. Steven was relieved and happy. Holcomb said her abortion personally left her traumatized. And after the abortion, Holcomb said that she and Tyler ended things in 1977 and went their separate ways. She said, nothing was ever the same between us after that day. I became very quiet and withdrawn after the abortion. Steven was already involved with other women at that time. The fact that he was my guardian complicated things for him because he was legally responsible for me. I was young, had dropped out of high school, and did not understand my legal rights at the time. I felt completely powerless. She said that Tyler called a few times after she left, but from that point on, never heard anything again. As for any regrets from what happened between him and Julia, Tyler hasn't said much publicly on the matter. It has been widely reported, however, that in an effort to make amends for his behavior, he donated $500,000 for his foundation, Janie's Fund, to build a safe haven called Janie's House. It's a facility in Memphis for girls who have been neglected or abused. When opening the center in 2019, Tyler said, "This does my heart and soul good. This is real." You know, and yeah, so there you go. I don't know what happened in the lawsuit. Sorry, this is the only news that matters that doesn't do that much research. I'm a busy guy. But she did sue him, you know, for what he did to her in the 70s. But, you know, back then, man, it was kind of okay. You know, a lot of musicians did it. Look, Ted Nugent did it. Jimmy Page. I know there's more that, you know, ended up with younger girls. Now, I don't know. This is my own personal opinion. This is how I feel about younger girls. I mean, there's a lot of younger girls that are very attractive, but they're like, you know, like a mango. You look at a mango and it's green. It's not ripe yet. It's not, you know, orange and red mixed together, because that's when it tastes really good. But a green mango sucks, and that's how I look at young girls. I don't care how pretty the young girl is. It's a green mango. There's no way I can find pleasure in that. You have to be, like, evil to have sex with a young girl, 16, I think, because they're not experienced. It's not good. I don't care what they say. A girl that's that young cannot possibly be good in bed. Just, it's impossible. And, you know, you get your jollies off having sex with a young girl that you know she's not experienced, and it's not good sex. You have to be evil in your brain to make it, you know, good sex for you. Because obviously the other party's not really bringing the killerness. And plus, it's a green mango, man. It's just not right. And on top of that, you're bringing her mental issues. You know, she's not going to be the same, you know, growing up. Look, I know this all too well because when I was 13 years old, a 36-year-old woman took my virginity. Now, I'll tell you the whole story. I'm going to try to do a real quick version. The woman in question was my brother's best friend's wife. And she called one day looking for my brother. And I answered the phone, and I don't quite recall how the conversation went, but it ended up her saying, "You're a virgin." And I was like, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. She's like, "I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to come get you." You know, I was like, what? Now, mind you, at the time, I wasn't into girls. I haven't been masturbating yet. Nothing like that. I was into movies. That's it. I was a young, innocent kid. Anyway, this girl picked me up, took me to her house, and we had sex. And I came, and it was the weirdest feeling. I was like, what the hell's happening to me? You know? And then she took me back home, and the next day at school, all I was thinking about was when I came and how I wanted to feel that again. So I called, hooked up again with her many times. It's because of her I saw Randy Rhoads with Ozzy Osbourne, because she bought me that ticket and took me. Anyway, so, and by the way, she looked a lot like was it Marsha Brady, the oldest Brady? She was beautiful. She was gorgeous. Anyway, so it messed me up because her husband was a truck driver. And when he would come back, you know, obviously I wouldn't hear from her, and I'd be at home thinking, she's probably having sex with him. Of course she is. It's his wife. And I would get so incredibly jealous. But, you know, fast forward, this went on for over a year. I got a phone call one day. Now, mind you, this is back in the day. There was no caller ID or nothing. I didn't know who was calling. I pick up the phone, and it was her husband, Oscar. And I was like, hello? He's like, who's this? I was like, who's this? And he's like, you know, and then I ended up saying, well, my name's Ralph. He's like, Ralphie, Manny's brother? I was like, yeah. And he hung up. And I was like, oh my God, because I knew it was Oscar. So I ran out of the house and I went and hung out at my friend's house, just shaking in my boots. And then, you know, my mother would always scream for me when dinner was ready. So when she screamed my name, I was like, okay, thank God. Coast is clear, I can go home. So I get home and, you know, eat my dinner, and I go in my room. Me and my brother shared a room at the time. And my brother had a bloody lip. And it turned out Oscar came over, and him and my brother got in a big fight because my brother was having sex with her. I didn't know this. And that made me even more jealous. And, well, yeah, that's the story. But it messed me up. I didn't know what to do about the situation. It depressed me. I was doing bad in school because of it. It was just horrible. So, yeah, you know, I mean, I'm talking from, and look at me, man. I'm still insane from it, you know. I'm not normal. I know I'm not normal, you know. But, you know, it never made me want to go have sex with underage girls. As a matter of fact, after that incident, and I couldn't talk to her no more, and, you know, and I didn't want to. I was like, I need to get over this pain, because not only was she banging her husband, she was banging my brother, you know? So it messed me up. So anyway, I never heard from her again, but also, I, at that time, never wanted to be with a girl my age. I wanted older girls, and I tried. And I was rejected nonstop. I remember my friend had a party once, and there was this older girl there, man. She was like maybe in her late 20s, maybe. And I'm hitting on her, and she was like, oh my God, you're so cute. Like, you're so adorable, thinking you're going to hook up with me, you know? And yeah, it sucked. So maybe that's why I never liked younger girls after that incident. And when I did have sex with young girls, back then when I was young, they really liked me because this girl, Cheryl, that, you know, had sex with me, taught me a lot about sex at a very young age. So I knew a lot of shit, you know, that to please the girl, you know, because she was a great teacher. That every time I hooked up with a girl my age, they were like, oh my God, you're incredible. So there you go. That's my whole story. I know it's bizarre, but yeah, it you know, it was awesome. I'm not going to lie, being that young and this beautiful older woman doing all the things. I thought it was awesome, but the repercussions after it sent me into, you know, I wouldn't say severe depression, but I was very sad that I wasn't with her anymore. And that's what happens when you have sex with somebody that young, especially me, you know, that young and inexperienced and not even know about sex, you know? And, you know, it is coming for the first time without masturbating and not knowing what was going on because I was so naive about it. But anyway, that's it. What do you all think of this? Don't you think it's just gross? You know, having sex with, you know, a 15-year-old, 16-year-old? I don't know, man. But, you know, back then it was kind of acceptable. You have Kiss singing Christine 16, and now everybody's like, ew, ew. But I don't remember one person saying anything about it back in the 70s when that song was new. Nobody cared. And, you know, you had Aerosmith had a song called Jailbait. So did Ted Nugent, oddly enough. And, yeah, I don't know. If I was a big rock star in the 70s, I would not want a young girl because I don't eat green mangoes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching The Only News That Matters. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Ring that little notification bell. And leave comments below what you think of this craziness, man. And, hey, like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. And please subscribe. I'm not sure if I said that. Oh, yeah, I did. Anyway, stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath and smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.